Hi everyone, and welcome to another short trauma-informed yoga practice. Today I wanted to share with you a short portion of the Tensegrity Repair Series. This is a series I learned from my teacher Gioia Irwin, and it's created so that you can find more length in the fascia, in the connective tissue and muscles that tend to get short as we age, and then also find a little more strength in the deep core, so the pelvic floor, the inner thighs, the transversus abdominis, and the diaphragm. And we will work with breathing to strengthen and tone our diaphragm today. All you need is a block, and you can join me if you like on your back. So we'll get down into this posture we call constructive rest. Have your block nearby. And you might take your feet wide and let your knees fall together so you feel this gathering of your inner legs. And you can also take your hands on your low belly if you like. You might close your eyes, draw your shoulder blades down your back. And there's an opportunity here to notice your breath, maybe noticing your breath into the back of your body, into where your body touches the floor. And then I'm going to invite you to start with this breath we call the radiant breath. So you could put your hands on your low ribs and see if you're feeling any expansion with your inhale there. And you could encourage it, expanding into your low ribs on your inhale and sort of deflating or moving back down towards your spine on your exhale. And then you could take your hands to your side ribs, perhaps cupping with your index finger and thumb, or even crossing your arms over your chest. And then sending some breath, if you like, into your side ribs, into the low side ribs. You could even close your eyes for this part just to feel a little more the rise and fall of your breath, this time potentially laterally, expanding into your sides. Now, if it makes sense, you could take a hand under your back and touch your low back ribs. And then you could minimize expanding at the front of your rib cage and try to maximize breathing into where your hand is, if it's there, or your lower back. See if you can manage that pressure of expanding into the low back ribs. And if you're not feeling anything, this is, for many people, the hardest part to expand into, in the circumference of your ribs. Often the muscles of the mid-back are quite bound up, quite tight. So whatever you get there. And then lastly, hands could be wherever. I'm going to take them on my low ribs again. And you could close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And then maybe you breathe all the way around, like there's a jellyfish or something in your low ribs and it's expanding circumferentially all the way around with your in-breath and then coming back towards center on your exhale. And this is a breath you could come back to through this practice. And I might remind you of that as we go along. Okay, now you could press into your feet here and pick up your hips and take this block on its low level underneath your pelvis. And then I'm going to invite you to take your legs up into the air and unite your knees and your big toes. So your knees might be a little bit bent there. And then check in. Are you pretty long through your low back? Make sure the block is not in your low back there. And then we'll, if you like, take the legs a little away with the exhale phase of the breath and then in towards you, and your pacing is totally up to you, so you can take the legs away on the exhale phase and inhale, bring them in towards you, And I'm going to remind you to keep that pressure from popping up into the front. So if when your legs are going away, you're going into a bit of a back bend and your front ribs are flaring up like that, see if you can keep your low ribs on the floor. And the invitation is to lower the legs, keeping that contact and keeping a little breath into the back. So you can continue to think about breathing all the way around your ribs and sort of bracing a little bit at the front. So with the inner legs coming together, and you can almost lean them in towards each other, you're finding inner thigh strength, pelvic floor strength. And then your deeper layer of abdominals in between those two frontal hip bones, wrapping all the way around from your back. A little bit engaged and preventing your spine from moving too much. So explore it. If you want to add something onto this, when your legs go away from you, a little challenge is to take your arms in, hands together over your head, and then back in. So you could play with that a little bit, and the pacing's up to you. Where you pause is up to you, right? You might continue to feel the low back ribs, breathing into the ground, pressing into the ground. Sometimes this is called a hollow body shape as you exhale and open, and inhale and come in. And if it's feeling really challenging, you could bend your knees more and make the movements a little smaller. You could go here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then your feet could find the ground. And when you're ready, you could take that block out, place it to the side, and maybe let your knees fall a little left to right. And then come back to that constructive rest. So feet a little wide, knees falling in towards each other. Hands could be somewhere in that low rib area. And you're invited to close your eyes if that feels okay. And then can you breathe that jellyfish breath or that radiant breath into your low ribs? If it's harder for you to breathe into your back, maybe a little challenge could be to send some more expansion into your back and a little containment at the front. Or maybe it was your sides that feel a little more restricted. Okay, and then you can take the block again, and an option is to take it in between your knees here. So your knees are sort of squeezing the block, holding it there, and we're finding that inner leg strength, pelvic floor. And then your hands, they could go out in a T to press down into the floor, or like a goalpost position like this. So finding that connection wherever you like. And then at your own timing, you can bring your knees into a smile in the air. So your knees go away from you and then in towards you. And when your knees go away from your back will maybe arch a little bit. And when they come in towards you, your back will round a little bit. And you could try to keep your upper body fairly quiet here. So the space in between your shoulder blades is heavy to the mat. And it's like a lumbar rock. So your low spine, your lumbar spine is getting this twist and an extension, which is the back bend, a flexion, which is the forward fold. And you could breathe in away from you and exhale as the knees come in towards your armpit or in towards your chest. Explore it. So another option if you want to have a little bit more sensation is you could take that block in between your inner feet. And if you have a cork or a wood block, this might be a little more intense. Maybe in between your inner legs is a little bit better. But you could draw a smile in the air with your feet. Knees could be a little bit bent, but I'm holding the block there. And then with the oscillating movement, it could feel kind of soothing to do it at your own pace, to go as far as you want to. You're getting this length through the hamstrings here, potentially length through the back body, and that little bit of toning through the inner line of the legs, through the low belly, through the side core. So the aim of this series is for it to be nourishing yet fortifying for you. Relaxing yet strengthening. I sometimes call it sneaky strength. So you can take that out, block, place it beside you, and come back to your constructive rest there. Feet are wide, just a reminder, knees fall in towards each other. And hands could be on the low ribs or even cupping the side ribs for that reminder to find a little expansion and that pressure management of your breath into the places that are a little more restricted, a little more tight. So that's a toning of the diaphragm, because the diaphragm's working. Where your fingers are is where your diaphragm sits. It's your primary muscle of respiration. And it's working as you expand it into your fingers, into the floor. So you're finding a little new range of motion for it if you're not used to breathing into your sides or in your back. And you don't have to take big, crazy, deep breaths. They can just be medium-sized breaths. Okay, and then if you like, you can take the block in between your knees again, hold behind your knees, and do a little bit of rocking. So head comes off, you can rock maybe a little towards your shoulders, kind of massaging your back body out here. And then maybe come up to balance, to perch on your seat. Now you could hold underneath your knees and round your spine gently. You could lightly squeeze the block. And either stay here, maybe toes on the floor, maybe shins parallel to the floor. Maybe some of you straighten your legs out, that's an option. And you could let one arm go and then the other. And then hopefully you have enough room behind you here. You can try to curl your spine, tuck your tailbone, hollow your belly back to your spine. Maybe you're holding on for this, and then roll down to find your lower back. And you can use a little momentum in your arm pull to bring you back up. Another option is to not pull with your arms. So you could exhale and round, find that low back, and then maybe a little momentum to bring you back up. And the last one is there's an option to use no momentum. So you can explore it. Maybe you're feeling heat rising in your body, a little bit of work happening. So less or a little momentum. And then you can take your feet down there and take the block out. Have your hands on your inner knees, and you can open your chest a little there, widening your knees, and then hang off your knees and round back. So it's almost like you're coming into a back bend and a little forward fold. You can explore this at your own pace. And a little flexion of the spine, rounding back. Okay, and then if you like, feet together here, walking your sit bones back. Sometimes I roll my inner thigh in and the outer thigh up. And you could come forwards a bit. So maybe you're feeling T-band stretch there, or a big one. You could even be up and leaning back and taking a few breaths. Or you could lean in, maybe letting your head go. You might feel a tug on your spinal muscles here. And you can roll on up. If you like crossing your legs, placing your hands somewhere that's comfortable for you. So I like to have a hand on my abdomen, hand on my chest. You could close your eyes or keep them open. And acknowledge that you took time today to make choices that support you. Thank you so much for being here, and subscribe for weekly content like this. And also please let us know how this felt and what you'd like to see here. Peace.